So he's going to share some perspectives, I guess, to things that have transitioned from the military use to now civilian use. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And he even calls me sir, even though I don't know if I deserve that. All right. Well, thank you very much. And over to you, Johan.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Johan Chamucero. I am the Assessments and Mitigations Lead for the Department of the Air Force Cyber Resiliency Office for Control Systems. I'm a contractor in support of Mr. Daryl Hagley, who's able to make it today. And so I'm going to be here speaking on his behalf and one of the many great things that we're working towards. A little bit about me. I started climbing utility poles. I was in the Air Force. I was an electrician working high voltage systems. From there, I was able to understand how OT systems, their physical aspects of it, what we don't see out in the field. One, how sensitive they are, but also how resilient they are as well. From there, I later on became the ISSM for these industrial control systems, and I started noticing a huge shift in how security personnel and engineers were two completely different people and completely different knowledge. One, that they didn't understand each other. And that essentially led us to a challenge. How do security personnel understand these engineering equipment? And how does the engineers detect any cyber incident or cyber event? So with that, about 100% of all of our missions are reliant on OT. It doesn't matter if it's electrical, water, gas. Without OT, without the infrastructure, none of the missions are going to happen. Nothing will make sense. And so our adversaries know that, and they're attacking it. They're going right after the OT. Is not secure. It's been 25 years or maybe even more since it's been upgraded. And not a lot of people are savvy in that field. So with that, we're going to be moving on to Crocs, which is, so enter Crocs. Crocs was, we got a couple of different lines of efforts. One of them is going to be bridging the gap between the engineer and the cyber defender. We want to not only standardize it, we want to synchronize it across the Department of the Air Force, and we want to ensure that it's a rapid and agile methodology and framework that not only the military can take advantage of, but also the public sector industry. This new calendar defender is unique. If anything, it's more like a unicorn, if anything. We want them to be knowledgeable in engineering, so ladder logic, understanding what a PLC is, understanding how an electrical grid functions to a gas plant. But at the same time, we want them to acknowledge those cyber, the initial effects that a cyber attack or cyber incident might be happening. So how do they detect that? And so there's three main areas that we want to focus on here. The engineers, we want them to learn more cyber, not just click through the annual cybersecurity awareness that we'll have to sit through. We want them to actually identify what each one of those incidents and indicators looks like. For the cyber operators, we want them to understand what might happen if they were to quarantine a device. They might not know that shutting down a pump could adversely essentially stop the water treatment plant from operating. And so with the engineers, the first thing is they're going to be our frontline defenders. They're going to be the ones that identify what's going on. They live this day to day. They know what's happening in their systems. They're familiar with it. And without power, without electricity, we won't have any functional systems. Now, our track is taking about a 6 to 18 months to put them through cyber training. And that essentially is going to show them how to engineer down a solution. Now, what does engineer down mean? Essentially, if an attacker were to get into the network and they were to compromise, let's say, a pump, a valve, engineering down the solution means setting a control, a bypass, a governor on that pump to not open more than, let's say, 75%. So it doesn't matter if the attacker compromised the system and told the pump, hey, go ahead and open 100%. There will be a physical limiter preventing that from happening. And the biggest thing is getting engineers to learn cyber. It's not something that they really went through school for. It's not something that they really care for when they were going through their education. So making them understand, and not only that, collaborate with the cyber defenders. At the end of the day, they all have to work together in order to protect their systems. But then on the flip side of that, we got the cyber defenders. Cyber defenders, yeah, they're fantastic. We have many CPTs, active duty, guard, private sectors. They're great, right? We got amazing teams, red teams, blue teams. The only thing, though, is that they're not very familiar with how PLCs work, how these physical systems work, right? And so we need to teach them that, hey, perhaps you can't just do an active scan on a network. You have a lot of PLCs that just cannot handle that type of inquiry. And by doing so, you might end up breaking it. You might end up kicking offline. And if so, a breaker may not open in a catastrophe, which might end up costing someone's life, right? And so with that, we want to make sure that we're teaching them and we're showing them what OT systems and how critical they are, and a way to get after the adversary, but at the same way, not jeopardize the mission. Now, one of the things we pride on is that the training that we're putting them through, it actually symbolizes a lot of the systems that we have on a couple of our military bases. And so when they go out to respond to an incident or an event, they're already familiar with those systems. So they're not having to spend the first 48 hours just trying to figure out, what am I looking at? What the network is? They already know what a PLC, RTU is, and they can go look for those incidents of compromise. Now, how do we essentially work that all together? With work role 462, Control Systems Security Specialist. This is essentially the flagship work role that Mr. Daryl Hagley Crocs have been working very hard to get out there. And it's been slow to gain track, but we're moving now. We're moving faster now. And a lot of people are taking notice. We've essentially not only worked with the military side to figure out what it should look like. We work with industry partners to include the DOW, CIO, Workforce Initiative, to essentially dictate what this training should look like and how to meet Work 462. Now, Work Role 462 does not stand alone. This would be in addition to some of the other codes. For example, a cyber defender might be a network specialist, but a cyber defender that focuses on OT would be a network specialist along with control systems, thereby creating more of these unicorns that I like to call them. And lastly, we are leveraging zero trust and AI. I know it's a buzzword nowadays, but there's a lot of mandates coming out. The adversary is using it, so we need to leverage it and use it as a tool to get us to where we need to get to. In the past, about 18 months or so, there's been a huge growth. It's more or less quadruple the units out there that have claimed Workflow 462. And that essentially has shown us that, yes, our units are in fact needing specialized personnel to get at these problems. In the past, they haven't really paid much attention to it, but now they're seeing that the adversary is going after infrastructure, especially at our military installations. And so we need to defend them. But in order to defend them, we need to identify where our gaps are. So where does that leave us? Essentially, this framework that we're producing not only is for the benefit of the military, but it's also for the benefit of the industry, utilities. It's a collaborative effort at the end of the day. We all need to make sure that we're bringing up our workforce that knows both OT, IT, cybersecurity, policy, among some others. And the only way we're going to do that is by collaborating together. Now, Work Growth 462 is mainly geared towards the civilian workforce and the military workforce. However, we're also starting to work with the CIO to essentially look at contractors, right? A lot of the workforce in the base is not just your civilians or your military, it's also your contractors. There's a lot of contractors that are also looking at control systems, whether it be operating them, maintaining it, or now even securing them. So we want to keep track of all of that and use all the data to not only advocate to continue standardizing our training, but also for funding, for resources, for more personnel. And so I hope that this framework is something that we can take out of here, we can grow, and that it can continue to evolve. This is not going to be the end of this path. Is going to continue to grow. We just got to adapt. Last thing that I'll leave you guys with is essentially, you're not going to be able, you cannot protect the mission without protecting the infrastructure. And you're going to have to empower your people to protect that. Here's my the contact information for our office. If you have any questions, I'd like to open it up to the floor.
Okay, any questions? I have one, which is does Croc have a turbo mode?
Sorry?
Does Crocs have a turbo mode?
Oh.
Because we need this like soon. Right? Sport mode, yes.
Yes.
All right.
So Crocs itself was officially established 2 years ago. However, Mr. Daryl Hagley has been working on it for over 3-4 years. You're welcome.
Send it to a couple people who might be interested.
Yes, no, definitely.
Hi, thank you for this presentation. Would you be willing to put this framework online? Like how much are you sharing with the public? Are you trying to just push it through existing infrastructure first?
Yeah, so we're initially trying to consolidate it.
Come close to the mic.
Oh, yeah, we're initially trying to consolidate it, put it all together, standardize it. And once it's ready, we will be hopefully publishing it out as much as we can, given that some of it is government.
So is this, where would I go to find it? Just
Yes.
Do I email you or do I hit a website?
Yep, no, this is the email to our office. Any questions that you have, anything that you want to follow up, or even recommendations on how to take this work role forward, we love to hear it.
Have you seen any non-DoD entities apply it?
Not directly, but the methodology, yes. Because at the end of the day, the work role, what it's trying to do is trying to bridge the gap between your engineer and your defender. Make sure that they each know the other's side of the house.
Okay. Other questions?
Thank you.
Well, we actually have, I should have not kicked Caleb off so soon because I think the other group is still going. Yes? Anyone know?
Okay.
I can kind of hear.
I know we're pressed for time initially. So
Well, you ended early.
Curious, how did you find out about this community? And is there something that we can do to promote what you're doing to people who may need it?
Yeah. So funny enough, Mr. Daryl Hagley is the one that mentioned critical effect. And that's how I became to know it. Now, what can we do? For me and for Crocs, the biggest thing that I've seen is that we all talk about the problem, but not necessarily put a lot of the resources or the manning behind it. It is difficult to sometimes man these positions when the industry can pay better, for example. Another one is we're slow moving in the government. The industry is normally going 2-3 times faster. And so when you come from the other side, you're ambitious, you're ready to go, but then there are, how do I say this politically, there are certain guardrails that we have to abide by that makes it difficult to sometimes progress. Just for this work role, we needed at least 30 people to advocate for it. It couldn't just be something that we're like, hey, we need this, we identified it, let's move on it. Yes.
Talking about it. Keep
Yes.
spreading the word. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I represent the American Petroleum Institute, and so we're representing oil and gas companies. We have a conference every year. Of the 150 submissions we got for this year's conference, I would say 85% were about OT and cybersecurity. Probably about 70% were AI and OT, cybersecurity. So it is a flash word a bit, but certainly in the oil and gas industry, our member companies are starting to do cross training between OT and IT, having people understand how the engineering needs to, that's very much in the OT space, but doing the cross training really helps. And they're bringing some of those groups together within the companies where they've always been siloed separately between IT and OT. There is a combination. So we're starting to do that in some critical infrastructure spaces.
Yep.
And I'll add on to that. I'm not sure how long this program has been going, but in a previous role, I worked at electric utility company. And what we were doing was something along these lines and really trying to build momentum to have that group where we brought in the engineers, the cybersecurity people, so they could better understand the OT security and understand the consequences of some of the decisions, or find innovative ways to manage the risk without, like we heard in the earlier discussion, CIA, but really focusing on what really matters for that group of systems. So I bring that up to say, I don't know to what degree you've talked with others in the electric utility industry. As Suzanne was saying, there are some other critical infrastructures that are working along this path, and that may be a good opportunity to share some knowledge as what's worked well, and perhaps help accelerate some of the work that you're doing.
Yes, no, and so I'm here representing Crocs and to collaborate with everyone else, but the other team members, they're also at other conferences as well to essentially spread the word and collaborate with some of the others, especially with the utilities, because it doesn't matter at the end how much we're protecting inside the gate, if you will. If they can get to that first substation that's outside, that first pump, it doesn't do us well, right? So yes, it is a collaborative effort, and in the years to come, we're hoping to essentially expedite this, not only continue enhancing the work role, but also assessing, mitigating, and working with our partners.
All right. Question on the collaboration piece. Are you guys really on the industry side? Do you guys hire reservists? Is there an opportunity to do that cross training just because they're reservists?
One more time.
How many reservists are part of this program within the
So
DoD?
the work role 462 is for all active duty, guard, reserve, civilians, and we're going to be including and contractors.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's more of it's a framework. So there's a couple of different ways to get at it. We are building a couple of different training programs. One that already exists is CS 300, and essentially is that intro into OT cyber combined. Students essentially get to play with a PLC and hack it, for lack of better words. And then we're developing more advanced courses in collaboration with some other units.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. If not, thank you very much.